Here's an interesting question. How do you not let people's differing opinions and tastes affect you and trouble you too much? How do you not let other people's opinions and tastes affect you too much? Well, if you're bothered by the fact that other people have different tastes than you, or that they have other opinions than you, I would suggest that you need to work on allowing other people to live their own lives. We often use the word judgmental. That would be very judgmental. It's somewhat of an irrational, in a manner of speaking, it's somewhat of an irrational approach to life to assume that other people, one part of the question was, have different tastes. To assume that all other people should have the same taste as you. For example, that could cover everything under the sun. Cars. You only drive SUVs, so everyone should. That sounds irrational. You like tofu, so everybody should. That sounds irrational. You like living in a warm climate, so everyone should and no one should live anywhere else. You like a particular kind of music, and anyone who doesn't like that kind of music is wrong. I could go on and on. And these things, as I say them, sound, well, I think the best word is irrational. It's an expectation that is not realistic. You like a red car, so everyone should like a red car. When we talk about tastes, that's the kind of thinking that we're talking about. Now, we could talk about clothes, everything else. For example, because you wear a certain style of clothes, or there are certain patterns of fabric you would never wear in January. No one should wear that in January, or it used to be that you never wore white after Labor Day. How ridiculous is that? Who makes up that rule that you can't wear white after Labor Day? It's ridiculous. It might be in some book somewhere on manners or something, but it's actually quite silly. So the idea that we're bothered by someone else's tastes is irrelevant, really. The fact that I might like pork roast and someone else doesn't like pork roast is really irrelevant. And actually, all of the things having to do with taste is irrelevant. So if you're bothered by that, it's because it's a form of judgmentalism, but it's a rigidity that assumes that because you've decided you like something, that therefore everyone ought to like it, and is quite irrational. Now, in terms of opinions, the second part of the question was that people have different opinions. Actually, it's the same kind of thing. Opinions can be important to us. There are many very serious issues in the world, and it's important to us that the issues that we might have, the opinions we might have, sometimes they're very important, sometimes they're not important, but sometimes they cover a very important issue. But the fact still remains, people have different opinions than we do. And we need to let other people live their own lives. It doesn't mean it's always pleasant. People have different opinions. And always remember that many times the opinions someone else holds might be correct and yours might be wrong. We all have had opinions, I'm sure, in the past where over the years we changed our mind, we changed our opinion. Now, if we changed our opinion, it meant that the original opinion, I guess you could say, was wrong. And yet we held that with fervor as well at the time. So, opinions, yes, we have different opinions, but we have to realize that people have different ones, and you're entitled to your opinions, and I'm entitled to mine. It's unlikely that I'm going to change your mind. Say in a video, for example, if I were talking about a particular opinion, it's unlikely that you would alter my thoughts over a short amount of time. We may each change our opinions in time, but it's unlikely. Much that goes for trying to convince people and talking and yelling at people, and that really has very little use other than to intimidate someone. But in terms of convincing someone, it's not likely. And because we all have to find our own way in terms of developing our opinions and changing our opinions. So when it comes to opinions, whether we like it or not, we have to recognize that people have the right to live their own lives, and they will, whether we like it or not. And when it comes to tastes, we all have different tastes. We all like different things. We all like different kinds of ice cream and different flavors of this and that, and different kinds of cake and different kinds of cookies. Some of us wear white after Labor Day and some of us don't, and so on, and we fret about it. But those are tastes, and they're irrelevant too. So don't worry about other people's tastes. It really doesn't matter. It's being judgmental. So work on allowing people to have their own tastes, allowing people to have their own preferences in terms of food and styles and cars and lifestyle and the color they paint their house, and whether they have a picket fence or not, or so on. Whether they like a warm climate and so on. Work on respecting other people's differences. It doesn't mean we agree, it doesn't mean we would do the same thing, but let people live the life that they have. When it comes to opinions, we have a right to our own and to advocate for our own opinions, but other people have the same rights, and it'll give us peace of mind to realize that people are different. It isn't always pleasant, particularly when opinions are involved, but many of the times there are not crucial opinions that we're fretting about. Sometimes they involve quite serious issues, but most of the time those opinions aren't that we argue about. So allow people to be themselves, and don't worry so much about other people having different opinions than ourselves. Learn to respect and appreciate the differences that we have in life. And this takes practice, because it's so easy to say, well, someone's different than us, therefore they're wrong. But try to get past that as best you can. Work on it to learn from others and appreciate differences.